And there's a gentleman there by the name of Jim Greeley. And Jim Greeley was a former employee of San Martin, so the family knew him. And Jim was the type of guy that if you would ask him a question about anything, he would explain it to you, and he would hold your rapt attention. And he did that about wine.
This podcast is sponsored by Filice Winery. Join us as the story of this ultra-limited wine continues. Learn more at FiliceWinery.com.
I'm in Oakville today at the Napa Wine Company, which we've been to in the past, but it's been a few years. I'm here with Ed Filice, and Ed is the winemaker at J.L. Wood. Are you the owner too, or no?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I am a happy employee.
That's not a bad thing to be, is it?
Right.
So thank you for being on the podcast today. Do appreciate it.
My delight.
You are the winemaker at J.L. Wood.
That's
who
correct.
is J.L. Wood?
Okay, J.L. Wood was the former owner of the estate. Right now, it's owned by Paul and Carol Morrison, and Carol's maiden name was Wood. And therein lies that tale.
Good.
That's the beginning.
How long have they been around as a winery?
Oh, geez. As a winery, as a label, I think we've been 5 years. They've been owning that land for nearly 120 years. It goes back a ways. I remember when I began at the Monterey Vineyard back in 1977. I remember Dr. Peterson, Dr. Richard Peterson, referring to Wood's Chardonnay. And he meant the Chardonnay that came from the J.L. Wood property, I believe. Mm-hmm. And he referred to that as being some of the best Chardonnay in the entire Monterey County.
You are obviously Italian with a name like Filice.
Correct.
And you were mentioning your parents were from Italy, is that correct?
Well, no, my grandfather came from Italy in the late 80s, 1880 something. And my mother and father both were of Italian descent and were born here.
What part of Italy?
In the USA. From the toe of the boot, an area called Calabria.
Oh, sure. Yes.
So that makes me Calabrese.
I would.
I'm 100%.
Very nice.
Proud to say.
Cool. So it's not real surprising you're a winemaker, being Italian.
It's interesting, huh?
Yeah. Kind of funny how that happens. But let's talk about your wine trail and how it found you and chose you.
Okay. I started at the retail end in 1984. I had some retail background, and my cousins, who were different scion of the family, they had San Martin Winery at that time, and the sons had broke away and started their own winery called the Filice Winery, and they were looking for somebody to manage their tasting room, actually, in Morgan Hill. They were just getting going. They had broke away from the parents. It was called the San Martin Winery, and the sons and had broke away, and they began a Filice Winery, and I went to work for them, and I knew wine a little bit, but not real well. My dad was not necessarily a wine drinker. He had a bottle of Mogan David, I think, in the refrigerator that was there for probably 17 years. So he didn't drink a lot of wine, my uncles, and I got introduced to it through the family that way. But as far as everyday beverage, it didn't happen.
That's surprising.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But I had enough background in the grape growing side of it, in the agriculture side, because the family was involved with that. My father, in fact, was in agriculture. He had prunes, and so I knew the agriculture game, and my uncles and cousins were involved in the grape thing. So, but I came to it from the retail side, and we had a tasting room, and our job, of course, was to introduce people that would come to the winery, to the tasting room. And there's a gentleman there by the name of Jim Greeley. And Jim Greeley was a former employee of San Martin, so the family knew him. And Jim was the type of guy that if you would ask him a question about anything, he would explain it to you, and he would hold your rapt attention. And he did that about wine. And it was not unusual for him to begin the day with 2 or 3 people at the tasting bar. And he had different references. He had Frank Schoonmaker's Encyclopedia of Wine. And he had various reference books. And he would go through and he would give everyone a real education in wine and regions and just different wines of the world. He would quote Shakespeare and Omar Khayyam and and I found myself leaning against the bar, and just and I was he had me. He got me.
Yeah, I believe that.
And I caught fire. And the more I knew, the more I wanted to learn. I went to work for another family friend, and Luigi Fortino was his name, and he was the cellar master at the Monterey Vineyard. And I went to work for him because I wanted to learn how to make the wine. I was really into it, up to my eyes. And so I got a job with the Monterey Vineyard as GWW, General Winery Worker, wearing the coveralls, pushing pumps, pulling hoses, and learning how to make it from the ground up in the cellar and on top of tanks and in tanks and shoveling tanks and every bit of it. Worked my way up to racker blender in a short time. And lo and behold, later that year, after I went to work, Coca-Cola came in and bought the company.
Of course.
And that was the Wine Spectrum thing. So it was part and parcel of what they began up at the north of us here on Sterling. They owned Sterling.
Yeah.
They had the Monterey Vineyard, and of course it began with the Great Western Winery back in New York. And I was working for them, and I caught the wave. They were developing a label by the name of Taylor California Cellars, and it was not going to be a small deal. And we had one small bottling line. There were 7 guys in the cellar when I began, and it was 1.1 million gallons. And within 2.5 years after Coca-Cola purchased it, they expanded that winery to the tune of 18 million gallons, and it was quite a deal. That didn't happen immediately because they had this brand and they wanted to establish it and grow it, and so they contract bottled out of Franzia Brothers Winery in Ripon. Mm-hmm. They needed a representative there, and I threw my name in the hat, and they chose me. And so they moved I and my young family out to the San Joaquin Valley, and I worked there and represented Taylor California Cellars there, and it was such a tremendous education in a relatively short time, and I've just been involved ever since.
About how many cases are you making?
Oh, it ranges. Yearly, we're doing around 1,200. It's very, very small.
Nice.
We have capacity to do more than that, certainly, from the vineyard out. But Paul and Carol want to keep it small-ish, something that they can, keep their hands on and around and not answer to anybody that wants to meet any sales, massive sales projection or anything like that. It's been excellent for me.
Do they own their own vineyards, or are they?
Yes, they do. In fact, they have vineyards in Monterey County, specifically Arroyo Seco.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, Arroyo Seco, and that's where I believe the finest Chardonnay in that region it grows.
Which brings up the revealing point here that you are exclusively Chardonnay. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Which I cannot say in my travels that I have run into a winemaker that is only Chardonnay. Being maybe only whites might be one thing, but specific to Chardonnay.
Yeah, let me quickly add, I've made other wines
sure
too.
You have, sure.
But and people remark about that all the time.
Yeah,
it's
sure.
almost like, gee, do you get bored just making Chardonnay? And I really don't. Because it's a grape that has many different facets, and you can treat it a lot of different ways and get great results of the different styles of wine within that genre. Sure. And it's challenging and fun, and to do it right is very rewarding.
The one that caught my eye immediately was the sweet Chardonnay. While I've seen and heard of them, I don't see them very often.
Right.
That's a bit unusual.
Yeah, it is. It is for sure, which, doesn't make it bad. And in this market, you can be, something a little bit different or very different for that matter. I have to say that, give credit where credit's due, that's Paul's brainchild, really. He had the idea, and it's something that we both worked on together. But it was his impetus that really drove that, and it's called Isabella.
Right.
And it's a very unique Chardonnay experience, and all Chardonnay and all J.L. Wood Chardonnay. Let me quickly add that. Like there, as you say, it's sweet, but there's no concentrate involved there. It's 100% J.L. Wood, Arroyo Seco Chardonnay.
Are you making just 3, or are you doing a few more than that? What is it?
Well, those are the primaries that you saw. You saw the No Oak. That was the one with the fox on the label.
Right.
And then the one with the wild boar on the label. Paul uses the animal themes.
Sure.
The animals that are in and around the vineyard.
The boars certainly are.
Right, the boars are indeed.
Yeah.
And and let's see, the boar was the premier, and we make a classic that has the bobcat on it too. And we haven't bottled that particular one yet. I just tasted the 2025 in barrel now. We have 8 barrels of that, and it's delicious. Nice. And pretty excited about that. But that's 100% barrel ferment. So, see, it's another way of presenting what the grape can do. Barrel ferment, no oak, slightly oaked, and if you have the palate or care to try it, sweet Chardonnay. That is just what it's like, what it tastes when it's in tank on its way to being wine, young wine.
Mm-hmm. For our listeners who'd like to learn about you and to learn about J.L. Wood wine, what is your website?
The website?
Yes.
It's J.L. Wood. Right.
Boy, that's a tough one.
Yeah. J.L. Wood, it's, they just got finished updating it, in fact. So it's current vintages, and a little explanation about the things we're talking about now, and Paul and Carol's background. It's a great site.
Other than being able to order it online, as you say, direct to consumer, how would they taste it?
How would they taste it?
Sure.
They would order a bottle and sample.
Okay. Right.
Right.
Okay. That's the way to do it.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. That's the way to get it done.
Ed, I appreciate you taking the time and setting this up here at this office here at the Napa Wine